Grow to love this music. Oh, we got people in the chat this morning. Love to see it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Stochastic Fantasy Football channel. My name is Matt Savoca, and I'm here, as I am always, with Nick Lepri at Notorious FNTSY. We're breaking down wide receivers, and we're talking week 5. It's upon us. We've got Indy and Denver tonight. We got Jonathan Taylor out officially. And we got a ton of viable wide receivers because this has been the fantasy goodness, the fantasy productive position this year. First of all, how are you this Thursday? You excited to talk some wide receivers today, Nick?
Of course, as always, I'm pretty excited. I'm not very excited, though, about tonight's game. The game, the long-awaited battle of Nyheim Hines versus Melvin Gordon. That's what everyone wanted, honestly.
You put some respect on Nyheim Hines' name. And Deion Jackson, I'm sure, is going to spell him. I don't know if you're going to get any fantasy goodness out of these running backs in Indy. I don't even know what you're going to get out of Matt Ryan against a Denver defense who has been by far the best part of this Denver team so far. Yeah. Russ figured it out last week, but it's been anything but smooth sailing for this Denver team. Hey, we got a bunch of people hanging out already today, filing on in as they do. And this fine Thursday morning, we got questions coming in. We got some familiar faces. Miso, what's up, man? How you doing? Ron, how are you? Just Bob, you hit the thumbs up on the way in. Doing our job for us. Yeah, you guys know what to do. It does help us out. Hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leaving a comment or a chat message as well. First of all, we love answering your questions. We're about to get to those in a minute. But also, it does help us out with, the whole algorithm thing, making us feel a little bit more popular, a little bit, more successful. Helps us out. Anything you want to get off your chest before we just dig into tier 1 of wide receivers? You feeling good about this week? You feeling iffy? Any large general thoughts for the people?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this week. I feel very excited about the Lions versus Patriots game. It would make me smile ear to ear to see the Lions beat down the Patriots. So I hope that's the case. That game is very exciting, especially for DFS, because everyone just experienced the chalk week of the Detroit Lions. It's got to happen again, baby. Detroit
DFS
Lions
expert.
Season again.
DFS expert right here. Honestly, no. I actually really like that call. New England with a really high implied total because of the defense of the Detroit Lions, and then the offense of the Detroit Lions, which is the best part of their team, continuing to get healthier and healthier, hopefully getting Amon-Ra St. Brown back this week. Let's fire up tier 1, the wide receivers who you have no problem starting every single week. The people who are no-brainers, the ones that we put on the screen so we can get to the next screens. And while you do that, Nick, and we'll start with these questions here. Astromine NY, I've seen you around here. What's up, man? Welcome back. Should I fire up Brian Robinson? I'm expecting Chubb, early Barkley numbers. Okay, so you're thinking about this in terms of your other players and when they play. Not a bad way to think about it. Honestly, I think Brian Robinson, his first game back, is a little risky. If you're an underdog and you're shooting for ceiling, it's not the craziest thing, but I don't think you need to do it if you feel like you have the floor of Chubb and Barkley.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't risk it. Initially, when I read that question, I thought he was talking about how he's expecting like Chubb from his rookie year numbers where he does like nothing and he gets like 3 carries for 100 yards. I thought that's what he was talking about, but I guess I read that wrong. I would probably, unless he might also be saying that he has Chubb and Barkley on his team because that is possible. So
I see how you read it as well. If you're expecting Chubb and early Barkley numbers, that means you're expecting like top 1 percentile outcomes, which is probably not a way to think of expectations. It's possible, but to say it's probable or you're expecting it, if that's what you mean, Astromine, then that's probably not the way I'm thinking about it. Okay, so I think Brian Robinson is a player we're both excited about. We both want on our fantasy teams, and we both think we can start as soon as next week. It's still a game where we want to see it before we have to trust it, if we have, if we can.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think that when he does return this week, like it's not like they're going to take the guy and just throw him in there to the Wolves and have him be the lead back. But could he ramp up at a rapid rate to become the guy? Yeah, definitely.
He definitely could. All right. So we are here in tier 1. You've heard of these players. Man, Deebo Samuel, dude, like this guy is awesome with the ball in his hands. It doesn't care at all about Jimmy Garoppolo's low average depth of target. Just yaks his way to the house. And we might end up just flat wrong about Deebo Samuel being a flash in the pan last year. Something that we kind of posited. We weren't a full fade of him by any means, but he just has been impressing me more than anyone else. I guess that's because all the other players on here are basically meeting their expectation. I'm sure you want to talk about Tyreek Hill, who looks like the clear 1A compared to Waddle's 1B in Miami, at least with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm.
Yeah, did you see that video of Jalen Ramsey interspliced with Deebo Samuel where Jalen Ramsey is like, oh, I'm going to lock down Deebo Samuel, and it's just Deebo going, ha, 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 and then it's just the clip of him getting that crazy touchdown. It was funny as fuck.
No, I got to
I saw
see
it like
this.
50 different times. I think I saw it on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. It was like a viral clip. It was so fucking funny because he's just laughing his ass off, and it's just showing him run through everyone. Yeah, I kind of am with you. I think we might have been wrong on Deebo. Now, I don't think either of us said just not to draft Deebo,
No.
but we were both a little bit less high on him compared to other people. I didn't fade him. I drafted him a couple underdog drafts. I don't have him in any of my redraft teams, but I'm not in like 50 redraft leagues, so it makes sense that I don't have him. But yeah, I think Deebo Samuel is in for a huge game. And then Tyreek and the Dolphins. I think without Tua Tagovailoa, he wants to rely more on Teddy Bridgewater and or not Teddy Bridgewater. He wants to rely more on
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill is what I meant to say. Yeah,
I knew what you meant.
Compared to Jalen Waddle, because Jalen Waddle kind of did not eat in that game up against Cincinnati. I think he only had 2 receptions on 5 targets. Now, obviously, with a week to plan, 10 days to plan, right, since Thursday Night Football, then I assume Jalen Waddle is going to play good enough to be start worthy and potentially be a top 12 guy. But if I had to plant my flag on either of these guys, whom I'm more comfortable playing, it's Tyreek. And that pass from Teddy to Tyreek was the largest air yard pass of the season with 61.4, bigger than any other pass this season. So Teddy has the arm to throw to.
I actually think that from an accuracy standpoint, Tua has Teddy beat, but from an arm strength standpoint, a lot of people probably have Tua Tagovailoa beat. That's okay. You don't have to have the greatest arm strength in the world to be a good NFL quarterback. But I agree. Like it was fun to see Teddy uncork it. Like I haven't seen those kind of passes since the early days, like when he was with young Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Something like that. Hey, and Josh reacts. Thank you, man, for the super chat. You get to jump the line for that one. And we do appreciate all of you guys hanging out. It means a lot. But super chats, they mean a super lot. Would you trade McLaurin and CMC for Barkley? Wow. I can't believe we're here already, a month plus into the season. I'm probably holding the McLaurin CMC side, but if you need a win in a week and this is the same value, we're looking at the same values, I kind of think I might do it.
Yeah. The way I kind of look at this is like I don't think McLaurin has hit his peak. I'm not sure if he's gonna hit his peak with Carson Wentz. CMC, look, despite the fact that this team is awful, despite the fact that I come on here every week and make fun of Matt Rule and Baker Mayfield, CMC is still able to eat. Josh says he's 3-1, so it doesn't seem like you're fiending for a W here. Like you need to force yourself to trade for Barkley. Obviously, there was some worries last week. Oh, CMC's banged up, but seems to be fully healthy to me. I would just hold with who you got. I like Barkley a ton. But there might be regression coming for Barkley if, the defense keys into the fact that they just want to run the ball 7,000 times. Maybe that will stop Barkley somewhat. And I think you can't really stop CMC because they're just going to throw the ball to him 50 times a game. Obviously, that's hyperbole. They're not going to throw him the ball 50 times, but you get what I mean. McLaurin and CMC, I would rather have them personally.
Really close, Josh. It's a good trade. If I saw that go down in my league, I would not scoff at that at all. And I will say, especially in leagues where the waiver wire is pretty bare and getting a free roster spot is valuable, I do think a 2-for-1 this time of the year at 3-1 isn't the worst idea, and that's good. That's at least good value.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Real quick. I just wanted to say, like, if, for instance, if the other person is willing to throw maybe someone into that trade, so obviously they're not going to be as valuable as McLaurin, but maybe then that would sway me to do it. But a 2-for-1, like I don't feel like you're really winning that trade. Like if you accept it, it's probably more of a push than a win.
That trade I
How
think
I look at
is
it.
a push, but I do love the 2-for-1 trades when you're in a good position, like towards the
Hmm.
top of a league. Anything else you want to hit about tier one? Justin Jefferson plays Chicago. They're over 7.5-point favorites at this point. Stephon Diggs, 14.5-point favorites at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Cooper Kupp playing a Dallas defense that honestly has been really impressive so far. Top 10 in the NFL in DVOA, in point differential, and in schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed. They're fourth best in the NFL right now. We still start Cooper Kupp. That simple.
Yeah, definitely. And Josh said real quick, I'd just throw it back in. If he threw in DeAndre Hopkins, would I accept? And I would say yes, I would accept.
Yes. 100.
Okay. But yeah, back into things. It was very funny because on Sunday while I'm streaming, the game is happening, the Minnesota game.
Mhm.
And I'm like I'm not looking at the scores or anything. Like I was watching the game in the first half. I stopped watching. I was like, Justin Jefferson really isn't doing anything, right? Like in the first half, he wasn't doing anything. Like 3 seconds later, he scores. The chat's like, oh my God, he scored. And then seconds after that, he has like 30 points. I'm like, oh, sorry. I guess I was wrong.
They can score in bunches in Minnesota. It's been up and down in terms of their ability to do so, but you're still starting JJ. I love JJ the player, honestly. I just want to see what this offense is capable of when it's running at all cylinders. I will say the Chicago defense has been pretty good in schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. They are sixth best in the NFL, up there with the Bengals. Uh, and honestly, the Vikings have been better than expected. There is some sneaky under potential for this Vikings Bears NFC North battle. Let's hit tier two and let's get to some more questions here. Just Bob. Congrats on some game-changing trades. I'm sure you have them in here. We'll find them. Full PPR, pick 3, Gordon, Connor, Hunt. Wait, that's 3. Pick 2. Okay. Gordon, Connor, or Hunt, pick 2.
First 2 for me.
Me too. Wait, I want Gordon and Hunt.
Okay.
Connor's hurt, and I don't know. I don't want to trust that Arizona offense.
Okay, that's fair.
Start AJ Brown, Hollywood, Mike Williams, or Drake London. Need 2, maybe 3 if you don't flex Khalil Herbert or David Montgomery. I think I'm probably benching Herbert Montgomery here, and I'm going AJ Hollywood and Mike Williams. Oh man. I'm going AJ Hollywood, Mike Williams.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to do AJ Hollywood and Mike Williams as well. But I also would be tempted to start London over Mike Williams. But Mike Williams also has the crazy. It's impossible to bench Mike Williams. That's the biggest issue with him. Is his floor is the basement. His ceiling is a skyscraper.
Right.
That's kind of how you can describe the guy. So he's either going to score you 3 or 4 points or put the team on his back. Like what's that guy's name? Greg Jennings. So I'm gonna go AJ Brown, Hollywood, and Mike Williams for me. I agree.
We have AJ Brown in the top 10, so you're not benching him. We have Mike Williams in the top 20. You're not benching him. We have Marquise Brown in the top 24 with Drake London 1 spot behind. You're going to see them in a minute. But I think AJ Brown is the one that you're definitely starting. So this tier, the one that sticks out like a sore thumb is Christian Kirk. Holy moly, has his value changed over the last month or so of the season? Playing a Texans defense, suddenly the Jaguars are touchdown favorites at home. Like we expect their offense to show up here. That's wild. The others are sort of no-brainers to me. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins continue to be closer in value than some thought at the beginning of the year. And then CeeDee Lamb, a tough matchup against LA, but I will mention that in schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed, especially to secondary receivers, so not so much for Lamb, the Rams have really struggled. And obviously we saw that Debo run against Jalen Ramsey. He has been susceptible as well this year. What do you want to highlight in this tier 2?
For me, it would be Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton's been really interesting because the season started and everyone was like, oh, wow, look, Judy's the guy. And then the pendulum kind of moved to Sutton. It's still Sutton, but Judy's getting work. I look, this is a team that is very confusing to assess every single week because Russell Wilson doesn't look very good. He looked good week 1, looked good week 4. Are we going to see the dangerous version of Russell Wilson tonight or no? I'm not too sure at all. And I thought it was incredibly funny. Now, this is definitely off topic, but Penny yesterday was at the podium and he's like, I like playing with a quarterback that doesn't change the play on me all the time, that lets me run the ball. It's like, God damn, what a shot to Russell Wilson that is. Who else would he be talking about?
Whoever could he be talking about? Oh my
Who's
goodness.
he talking about?
I there's like a whole like philosophy mentality thing that eventually the whole dangerous Russell Wilson butted
Mr.
heads with.
Unlimited.
Yeah, that got limited by the Seattle coaching staff. And the funny thing is Gino's actually playing pretty darn well. They're playing New Orleans. They're 6-point underdogs, but you know, I get what Rashad Penny is saying. We have Olave aggressively high right now because we don't have Michael Thomas in our rankings. Do you think that is where would you put him if Thomas is playing?
Thomas is playing. He's probably closer to 24, but he seems incredibly safe without Thomas. But I am worried about the fact that Dalton's playing again. Now, I know Olave did fine with Dalton, but the Red Rifle, it's kind of brutal to watch. Like, Taysom Hill's going to come in the game. You just know that already. Reports came out yesterday that Hill's been practicing as the quarterback. So we're going to see Hill. We're going to see Dalton. Chris Olave was wide receiver 16 last week in London in half PPR. So I don't really expect like a great fall off like if Michael Thomas doesn't play. But
Sure.
if Michael Thomas does return, then I think you kind of have to move him down. But not because Michael Thomas just steals all the targets, but because it's also the fact that Dalton's probably going to play, and it just makes things incredibly confusing. Also, Kamara's probably going to play, you would think. So it definitely throws a wrench into things.
Yeah, if everybody's healthy, if everyone's up, but Jameis Winston isn't up, I still think you have Olave in the top 30, but it's probably hard to sneak him into the top 20. Let's put it there. I think this Cincinnati Baltimore game on Sunday night could be a shootout. It obviously has a 48-point total, but I'm excited to see what T. Higgins and Jamar Chase can do against a Baltimore secondary that right now in some of the analytics looks like actually one of the worst defenses in the league, like third worst in that schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed metric on offense. Like that's bad when you're facing Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. So that's when I'm starting those two with confidence this week. Let's get to some more questions here. Muggsy asks, Najee Harris, Hines, Jeff Wilson, or Herbert? Just one of those?
I have to go Hines. Not Hines, Harris.
Harris. For me, it is Harris, Wilson, Hines, Herbert.
Yeah, same. I agree. Harris, Wilson. Oh, no, I'd go Harris, Wilson, Herbert, Hines, personally.
Okay, that makes sense. Harris, Wilson, Hines, Herbert? Okay.
Hines.
Herbert, Hines. Gotcha.
Yes. Very confusing.
This guy 12. Notorious. Good morning, guys.
Hello.
What's up, man? Good morning. All right. Sorry, being a goofball. Cortland Sutton, you're starting him as well. Anything else you want to hit up? We hit up tier 3 where things get more interesting for everyone else as well.
Yeah. We'll move to tier 3. And like you said, I just want to reiterate, I completely agree with you that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are very close compared to what people thought. That's kind of wasn't really surprising to me, but I guess it's surprising to many. Jamar Chase has never really been that consistent big boom play. He has games where he goes off. He has some other games where he's just okay. T. Higgins has been very consistent this season. So I agree with you. I even have seen people rank T. Higgins ahead of Jamar Chase, which I don't even think is crazy at this point.
Well, if you're getting more volume and you're catching more passes, then you might be producing more fantasy points. The thing is, the ceiling is like $1 billion for Jamar Chase. And especially when this is why we talk a lot in the summertime about converting best ball ADP to season long ADP, making sure that you're understanding the differences there, because 40-point ceilings when you're having a best ball week really, really helps you. But those consistent 12-point weeks that T. Higgins seems like he's able to provide, and also he's got spike week potential as well. It's really helpful in weekly fantasy game. If you want to get into the action over at the Best Ball Streets, I highly suggest heading over to Underdog Fantasy. Their Best Ball Resurrection tournament starts in week 6, so you got a week to get in there. $10 entry can net you up to $100K, and right now they got a great promo code Stochastic. You see it at the top of the screen. STOKASTIC, if you're listening. That will get you up to $100 in a first match deposit bonus. Free money is hard to come by. We love free money. Get into the action today. Promo code Stochastic. All right, here's where the great flattening of the position starts. Keenan Allen through Adam Thielen, all very similar in projection ranges for us. Anybody you want to highlight to start us out? This is a really, really productive tier compared to the running back 15 through 26.
Yes. So the most interesting thing that I see is that Godwin we have at 8, Evans at 16. Now, I'm not saying that that's wrong. I would have it ranked the opposite. But when Chris Godwin is healthy, the upside is immense. We saw Mike Evans play amazing last week up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now he gets the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm all in for this Tom Brady divorce revenge game against Atlanta. Like it's not even a revenge game, right? It's not like Giselle is on the fucking Falcons defense, but he's about to go crazy.
I just
I
saw
don't
that
know.
he filed a trademark. He's changing the name from TB12 to TB4E. Interpret that as you will. No, I'm joking. Because he might play forever now that
he might, dude. The guy's immortal. I saw so many memes that were so fucking funny about it. Someone also tweeted something like, damn, Tom Brady really left Giselle just to play the Falcons twice a year, which I thought was really funny. And then I saw another one that I retweeted. Now, I know now we're just talking about memes, but this one was so funny. Have you ever seen the video of Brady and Gronk laughing? It was just that. It was like Brady's divorce lawyer and Tom Brady laughing because they're going to take half of Giselle's money. I thought that was very funny too. But back on into what I was actually talking about. I like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin a ton. I think you can make the argument that both of them could finish inside the top 5 season long in points per game when they're both healthy. Both of these guys are amazing. I think now with everyone healthy, this is when the team really turns it around and Brady starts really clicking. If you're talking about quarterbacks, I think this really boosts Brady a ton.
they got their weapons. His body's got to hold up. That's the thing that no football player can guarantee, but especially we can't guarantee for a 45-year-old player who's already dealing with finger and shoulder injuries. We're starting all those Tampa Bay top weapons with confidence, and honestly, we'll get to Gage later in the rankings, but I'm starting him as well. Waddle is a player who I'm still hopeful for, but much more nervous about. We talked about Tyreek Hill kind of being the 1A. We also saw that he's on the injury report with a groin injury. It looks like he nicked something up late in the game last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm excited to see him back on the field. We have him at 18 against the Patriots defense, who has just been okay in most metrics this year. And then we're seeing some bullish rankings for Tyler Lockett. I don't know if I have him there. Math puts him there. Remember, these are based on the stochastic projections, which are based on historical data. Same projections that have won people literally millions of dollars. We're going to trust their process over here. But in my gut, Tyler Lockett at 24 feels way too high.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, the projections are very helpful. I won a couple $100 last week, so obviously they work. But I do not agree with Tyler Lockett being there. I would have Metcalf ranked ahead of him at this point, even though he had to get carted off the field to go take a dump. But he is the guy there, in my opinion. And the one thing I want to talk about with Amon-Ra St. Brown is, do you believe he's going to play or not? Because I'm like 90% sure I saw a report that he didn't practice yesterday. And that kind of concerns me, like that he's not back yet. If he's not back today, then the red flags are going to be popping for me.
I think I put it at like 30% that he's playing. I might
That's
even
reasonable.
go as when I put it in my head that it's 25% or lower. That's when I apply my own doubtful tag. And he's kind of bordering on that. He said he was running full speed in a straight line, which kind of indicates it hurts to cut still, which means please stay on the bench for another week. Just rest up, man, because you're awesome when you're on the field. Thielen is a player who I've seen move in a couple leagues. He's been more productive than a lot of people expected after a slow start.
Yeah.
And basically every time Justin Jefferson isn't showing up, this guy is. Irv Smith is an afterthought. Osborne is used sparingly. It's the Thielen and Jefferson show still.
Yeah. I mean, even Cook's usage is a little concerning, but 2 top 25 weeks in a row in half PPR for Adam Thielen. Could easily see him repeating that. His targets have drastically went up. Like week 1, he only had 4 targets. Then it went up to 7, 8, and 9 now last week up against the Saints. If my math tells me correctly, he should have 10 targets this week then, because it goes up 1 every single time. But up against Chicago, this is a great matchup. I get why we have him ranked so highly. He's one of those guys that isn't really the big boom play. Like I don't really ever expect Thielen to be like a top 5 guy, but he's incredibly safe every week,
Yeah,
especially against the Bears.
he's kind of become that check down option too, like that safety valve while Justin Jefferson is getting all the money routes, the big play routes. That's fine, but you can't make a splash play every single time. One thing I will mention is that Adam Thielen, his 19.6% share of team targets, nearly outside the top 40 wide receivers. Once again, he's feasting 6 red zone targets, top 10 in the NFL, and that's helping him once again. He hasn't even had the touchdowns yet, but he'll get there in that regard. So I actually think there's a little bit more ceiling than we've seen. Any players you're fading here, or is safe to move on to tier 3? Because you have to have a juggernaut of a wide receiver core to be benching any of these players. I mean, we saw one already, but it's rare.
Yeah, I'm not really fading anyone. I am a little bit less high on Michael Pittman because of his matchup up against Surtain. Now, I'm not someone who overly panics normally about a DB versus receiver matchup. The only one that actually ever scares me is Lattimore versus Evans. We saw how that one went, but Michael Pittman looks decent. Like, he had a great week 1, okay week 3, not so hot week 4, but like now you don't have Jonathan Taylor. Now, like, is the offense might not be able to move the balls productively. Like, they weren't moving the ball productively with Jonathan Taylor. So now what's going to happen without him? Like, Matt Ryan's still playing good technically because he throws so many passing yards. He's like top 5 in passing yards in the NFL, I think, or top 8, but he hasn't looked good. I do worry about Michael Pittman. I don't think 19 is an egregious ranking, but I would have him definitely closer to 24 or 26 maybe.
He's in that firm wide receiver 2 range. That doesn't end right at wide receiver 24 if you're in a 12-team league. It goes about 26, 27 deep. Hence the usage of our tiers. Look at that. And as you said, Matt Ryan, 4th in the NFL in passing yards while being 20th in air yards per game. Not pushing it downfield, 29th in air yards per attempt. Tyler Lockett may be a beneficiary. You can throw it to tier 4 as I talk about Lockett one more time. He may be a beneficiary of, good call, Samuel in this tier as well. Lattimore being on DK Metcalf. That's part of the reason I think our rankings are pushing Lockett a little bit. Let's get to a few more questions here. We got about 10 minutes remaining because I got to get out of here at 10:40. As you guys know, if you've been watching on Thursday, I head over directly after the show. Head over to the Big Brother channel, the Stochastic DFS channel, the same place that creates the projections and rankings that you see on your very screens today. And I talk with my buddy Laffy, Dave Laffy Loughran, and we break down every single fantasy relevant player from every single game on the main slate from a DFS perspective, talk about the game environments we see. If you're just dipping your toe in the water, this is the best year to get into the Stochastic DFS fold. Not only do we have these great content over on the Stochastic DFS channel, I'm going to throw that link in chat in just a moment. And we also have great tools for people who are building, say, 1 to 5 lineups. If you want to use a lineup generator for absolutely free, that's curated with the most successful lineups based on our simulations, we have that for absolutely free on our Stochastic DFS page. There has been no better time to get in there for hand builders. The same care we give to all of our pro players who use our premium plans, our Stochastic Plus plans, we're now helping you out on the hand building side. It's really good stuff. So is the matchup show. Check it out today. Tier 4, man. Hit me with what strikes you as interesting right off the bat.
Yeah, Juju. He's the first guy on the screen, but he does strike me as interesting. He's an interesting fellow himself, the king of TikTok. But I'm starting to get not just worried about Juju. I just, like, going into the season, I was off of Juju. I made a very strong claim on the fantasy channel. I said he was do not draft this guy. He's a waste of a pick. Every week he's confusing to start. He's not finished inside the top 32.5 PPR once. He's getting the targets. He's seen 8 targets in 3 out of 4 games, but he's not doing much with it. Sure, he's technically the number 1 receiver weapon in Kansas City, but it doesn't seem like he is that same, like, in a game, would I rather start Juju or Mecole Hardman? At this point, I think I'd rather start Hardman because Hardman might score me 15, 20 points, and Juju is probably just going to get me 10. Same thing with MVS. Like, MVS has the skill. He just isn't doing anything. I don't know. I just feel extremely off of Juju. I don't want to start him. I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't think he's just not doing anything with what he's been given. And I don't know how much longer Mahomes is going to give him 8 targets a game if he's putting up 89 yards, 46 yards, 79 yards. He's not scoring touchdowns. They're not even looking at him in the red zone. It's extremely bad for Juju. So I don't want anything to do with him right now. I understand the game against the Raiders. Maybe this is the game he pops. But again, with what we've seen, do we even believe that's going to happen? Because he's had matchups against Indy, the Chargers defense that doesn't look the greatest, the Cardinals, and hasn't popped.
I hear you. 8 expected fantasy points per game in half PPR, scoring just about 8 points per game. That's outside the top 100. Now, he happens to be around a lot of players who were picked before him and are underperforming at that level as well. Travis Etienne is at 100 in expected fantasy points per game. Jerry Jeudy at 98. Rashad Bateman at 100. Some of these players are overperforming expectation, but in terms of opportunity value, he's not unstartable, but he's not at a must-start level either. Player that interests me, Tennessee's Robert Woods. I realize they go to players like Chigokonkwo sometimes, but with Treylon Burks out of the lineup, he is the clear secondary option behind Derrick Henry in terms of offensive production. Football is a game of variance. Sometimes other players, like Okonkwo last week in Tennessee, do good things. But in terms of prediction, in terms of predicting production, Robert Woods is the only safe player in the Tennessee receiving core. And I think he's in a good enough matchup this week against a Washington defense who I'm not scared of at all, that he's a wide receiver 2-3 with confidence for me this week.
I like that. Deontay Johnson, the guy right below him, would be another guy to kind of talk about. George Pickens explodes with Kenny Pickett under center. The fact that they're both their names start with Pick is very confusing. But yeah, George Pickens looks a lot better. He's seeing more targets. That makes a lot of sense, right? Because Pickett was on the second team. Pickens also on the second team when they're practicing, so they have that connection. But I also think Deontay Johnson's going to bounce back. He was wide receiver 75 last week in all my DFS lineups, so shout out to him. Still made money with him in my lineups, though, so it's okay. But yeah, Deontay Johnson, I think, is going to bounce back. I don't love this matchup against Buffalo, but again, I think you still want to play him in more situations than not. He's still a start for me. I'm not panicking. But the next couple of games, Buffalo, Tampa, Miami, Philly, not the best, but after the bye, things start to really open up. New Orleans, Cincinnati, Indy, Atlanta, Baltimore, Carolina, Las Vegas. That's a bunch of games in a row where he becomes near must start.
Yeah, and just to add to that question as we keep going here, because we only have a few minutes left, we're not panicking, but we do have a ton of variance when we change quarterbacks for any team. Deontay Johnson has been a target monster for Trubisky and Roethlisberger. He has not yet been a target monster for Pickett. We just don't have a high enough sample size in order to say it's panic time. I'm not even sure it's yellow flag yet. But if next week he's just totally not paid attention to, that tune can change very quickly. That's just the bottom line.
Sure. But it's also against Buffalo.
Yeah. You're right. We're going to take this with a grain of salt. 14.5-point underdogs on the road. Have fun with that, Kenny Pickett. Oh my gosh, the news stories are going to be crazy if he pulls off some sort of victory.
Did you see real quick? I'm going to say it really quickly. Did you see the Von Miller clip of him on Twitch? He's reading Reddit, and it's Kenny Pickett's quote about being an underdog, and Von Miller's oh, no one looks at the books. Who cares if you're an underdog? You got to try and win or whatever. It's dude, shut up, Von Miller. All the players know what the fuck the spread is of the game. The coaches know. Everyone knows. It's everywhere now.
Yeah,
everyone
absolutely. Knows. Absolutely. 100%. Jacoby Myers, that's bold for me, especially with whoever is starting in New England. I still don't think Mac Jones is good enough to go. And are you just flat done with DJ Moore if he doesn't get it done? I know why we have to put him in the top 30, but I'm so annoyed at this guy.
Oh, I've been done with DJ Moore. I drafted him in a bunch of leagues. I was oh, Baker's the savior. Baker was not the savior. I'm done with DJ Moore. He had his best game of the year though last week. Second best, actually, I lied. Week 2 was his best, but he had 11 targets last week, so things might be more promising for DJ Moore going forward. But again, do I want to roll him out there? Probably not, right? He was okay last week. Maybe the fact that he basically called out Baker in that whatever that was, where the reporter was talking to him, maybe that's going to help him. But again, I don't feel super comfortable playing him.
Still hasn't topped 50 yards receiving this year. All right, we're going to try to do rapid fire. You hear me, Notorious over there? We're going to try to do rapid fire.
No.
Let's throw the rest of the rankings on here. We got Garrett Wilson and Cooper rounding out tier 4. Most places, most leagues, 12 team or more, you're going to have all of these players as starters, but that gives you an idea of our top 40 or so. Let me see. We got let's see. Does Nick wants to know? He's gotten a 4-0 squad. CMC, Lenny, Chase, CD, Kelsey, Godwin, Judy. Okay, yeah. This is a solid squad. This is one that you hold right now, and you just see where it takes you. It's a really, really, really nice team.
Yeah, that team's really good. Don't panic or anything and try to like trade people. Not panic, obviously you're 4-0, but don't try to get cute with it, you know.
Yeah, no, and
Here's all the rankings.
All the types of running backs like Rashad White, those are the exact types of handcuffs you want to have. Even if you didn't have Lenny Fournette, Alexander Madison, those types of players that could take over a valuable role if given the chance. On flex, start
J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins, thank you. Michael Thomas or Amari Cooper. I am going. I don't think you're getting Thomas this week. I'm going Cooper by a hair.
I'd go Cooper as well. If Michael Thomas plays, I'm going him though, but I don't think he does.
Cooks over Mike Williams. I'm going Mike Williams firmly over Cooks.
So am I.
Look at this. We're doing rapid fire. Which two do you start in full PPR? Wilson, Godwin, Judy, Juju, Corey Davis. I assume Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Godwin and Judy.
Godwin and Judy for me. Ramondre Stevenson or Damian Harris this week?
Coin flip. Damian. Coin flip, though.
Yep, coin flip. I think Ramondre is a sneaky start for sure. You still got this is the ongoing. Yeah, your league is sleeping. We're gonna
nap.
We got to get like a community of leagues so that the Killix and other people who hang out here can get into some active league. I mean, enjoy DeAndre Swift when he comes back, man. Like that sounds really fun. But priority 10, DeAndre Swift, your league is sleeping. Final minute here. Should you hold Pitts and start Higbee?
Yes.
Yes. You got to hold 2 tight ends. And Joker or TJ Hawkinson. You got to start Hawkinson after the big week. But is that how you feel?
Yeah. What's up, Captain Save a Ho? And yeah, I would play TJ Hawkinson. You just said Nicky in all caps. Did you see that that guy's name in the G League or whatever that was, where it's like Yo-Ho Fat or whatever his name was? That shit was so funny.
Get out of here. Get out of here. All right, we got a final minute here. Anybody in tier 5 or tier 6 you want to shout out, the 42 or 70 range that you're like, why are they here? I have one. It's number 70. George Pickens deserves much more love.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Harbaugh, do not drop Pitts for Freiermuth. You're going to reject or regret that in about a week.
Yeah.
And I hope it's Waddle time, Raz, above everything, so I could hit the Waddle. But the guy that I want to talk about, I think, would be Boyd. I think Boyd's an interesting player every week. Like, if he does score, I understand why he's ranked 56, right? Because if he doesn't score, then he's not going to get much higher than that. But I do think he's still an interesting play every week. And if Amon-Ra misses and DJ Chark plays, I would move Chark considerably up the rankings, especially since Josh Reynolds is also banged up.
There you go. All right. 70 wide receivers in the fantasy viability range. We hope we helped you out. If we didn't, please leave a comment. We're trying to get to every single question you guys have on all of these videos. Nick, you'll be back here tonight, but let the people know what you're up to this weekend, because this is actually this is so weird to say. I never take a weekend off. This is my last appearance on the Fantasy Football Channel for 4 days. We'll be back here on Tuesday, though. What are you up to?
Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Me and Andy Dufresne, that is. Andy Dufresne. But yeah, well, I'll be back tomorrow with him. Tonight on here at Notorious Fantasy by Stochastic. Thursday Night Football breakdown, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be honest with you, Savoca. I have no idea how people get access to the Discord. But if you guys are in the Discord, I just realized yesterday that there's a fantasy football like redraft section. I was talking to Max and a bunch of the guys in there. So make sure you guys join that. I don't know how the fuck you get in there. Zero idea. But however you get in there, get on in there. The chat in there is very fun.
What is this? Am I misinterpreting?
W. It's a W. Get the hell out of here, bro. W. Matt's gone. It's the Nick show now, baby.
Wow.
I don't think that's what he meant, though.
I think he was like saying have a nice vacation, but
That is
I'm
what
just
he
gonna
meant.
interpret it that way. But I am stoked. Andy's fun as hell, as are you, Nick, and you guys should put on a great show Friday. And we'll be back. Well, you'll be back on Sunday. I'll be back on Tuesday, as we always are. We got so much more for you on the Stochastic Fantasy Football channel, Notorious Fantasy by Stochastic, the Odd Shopper channel if you're getting into sports betting, and of course, the one that started it all, the Stochastic DFS channel. We'll be here all weekend long, getting you ready for week 5. Follow him at Notorious FNTSY on the Twitters. He's Nick Lepri. I'm Matt Savoca. You can follow me at Draftaholic as well. He'll be back tonight. Until then, for Nick, I'm Matt. We'll see you guys later.
Adios.